Yeah, I do. Had a good visit with Anthony yesterday. Got to take him to dinner, spend some time, do the tour facility, go to the practice facility arena. The plan for AD right now is to go back to Dallas and finish his rehab. He has a really good team down there. Our doctors met with them, and our medical staff's going to go down with him. So we want to keep that good thing going that he has. During All-Star break, he gets takes another visit for a doctor, and that's a big appointment for us to kind of see where his progress is at. And after that, after All-Star break, he'll return to DC and be here with the team.
Is he still on the initial return to play with the hand was 6 weeks, so March?
Yeah, I think it was like a 6 to 10 week type thing, diagnosis, so we'll get a better feel for it.
So he'll be back, but obviously not playing.
Yeah. He'll start his rehab, continue his rehab with his program with people down in Dallas, and then we'll kind of oversee and be around it, and then kind of have him here for a little bit as well. So we'll know more after All-Star break when he sees the doctor.
𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗡𝗧, Manager Will Sports Network. I'm curious, which side of the trade was the first person to make contact? Was it Washington saying we want to go out and get a superstar, or was Dallas saying this guy is available?
Yeah, I think with any trade deadline, you're having communication with all teams pretty consistently. Unlike the draft, or it's like one finite day, one finite time. With the trade deadline, you could do it all months leading into. So we contact every team. Normally talk to different people within the department. So we've been talking for a long time with every team in the league, and you have conversations about different players, and it morphs into another player, different concepts, and people make other trades and want to balance their books, finances. So you're always checking in all the time. So there's continuous dialogue with every team in the league.
And with Anthony coming here, I'm curious how you think he'll coincide with other players on the team, specifically Alex Sarr, how you plan to deploy them in the development aspect of Alex's game.
Very well. You probably saw the excitement on my face when you asked that question. AD's a special player, special talent. He obviously opens up so much on offense because he demands double teams. He can score in different areas. Defensively, has been an anchor, rebounder, rim protector. When you have him at the 4, Alex at the 5, protecting the paint. 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗡𝗧, some of our elite wing defenders out there. Like we want to be long, want to be athletic, want to be able to protect the paint better than we have. And I think adding someone like him opens up the game of a lot of our other players, but also allows him to be Anthony Davis too.
𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗡𝗧, DC News Now. What do you think this trade in the past couple months of moves tell? What do you think the fans are going to take from these trades, and what do you think what is the organization telling the fans when you make moves like this?
Yeah, I think Michael sat up here in this room probably a little bit earlier in the month or last month and talked about kind of the next phase for Wizards basketball, and I think we're starting to enter that. And when we first got here, we assessed where we were at, and we made a difficult decision, but one that we thought was the right decision to start the rebuild. And that first phase was the deconstruction process. And I think that we can tell the fans that we're towards the end of that. We're laying some foundational chips through a lot of the players we've drafted. And now we're starting to build because we kind of have a better feel for those young players, what they're about, and kind of how they fit. So we can go out and add other pieces like Trae Young, like Anthony Davis, to start building something. So I think that's what I can tell our fans. Like we're not all in. This isn't a push go, everybody go move. This is the next step in our player development process and the next step to play more competitive basketball. Because as many of you guys know, we want to be in those competitive games in the regular season and let those guys grow and learn from those experiences. I think that's the next step for us, and that's why we did these moves.
How do you think AD and Trae Young can coincide on the court?
Very well, would be my guess. Trae probably has never played with a player to the level of Anthony Davis, while also leading the league in assist percentage for how many years now. So you add a player like that at the rim, pick and roll, 2-man game, that opens it up. But again, Anthony Davis surrounding him with the level of shooters that we have with Bub and Trae, Will, all these guys shooting the ball, Keyshawn, Alex. Like I think the floor is going to be spread. We're going to have a lot of people who can make decisions, and that's how we want to play basketball. So it won't be one person dominating the ball, and that's not what we want. So again, adding these guys positionally made a lot of sense.
Megan McPeak, 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗡𝗧, Sports Network. I'm curious the conversations ahead of the deadline, once you guys make moves, just getting these young guys prepared for the business side of this.
Yeah. Trade deadline's always difficult because you build unique bonds with the people in the room, and there's a connectivity that I don't think everyone realizes. And when you want to be about, people use the word culture, I typically use environment, and you invest in your brothers in that locker room, like it's difficult when you see people like Marvin, people like Chris. Those guys have been with our organization for 2 years now and like have really helped them grow. And it's it's hard to see that, but at the end of the day, they do realize it's a business, and they do realize that we're doing our best to amplify them and amplify the team, and sometimes you have to make those tough decisions. So you try to give them as much heads up as possible. We don't know what's going to happen that week. We just try to do our best to prepare and make sure the coaches are ready and they understand it, because they're the ones that have to have those conversations in the moment when we're still in the room. But we do a good job of letting our team know before it goes public in the event we can, and explaining the why afterwards.
Quick follow-up. After the Pistons game, 𝗫𝗎f mentioned AG and Trae Young being the guys who made comments before that game to just get guys settled and ready. Knowing that you made a move for Trae just weeks before that, and he was already willing to step in that veteran role in the locker room,
Yeah.
what does that say about the type of environment that you're building and want to continue to build?
Yeah, I think AG is a staple and has been that for us for a long time. And that's who Trae Young wants to be, and that's who he is. And I think he wants to show that, not to the media, but to his teammates. And I think you guys are seeing it in those different situations. And the game before, you saw the nerves. You saw everybody thinking what could happen. And once the trade kind of happened, they level set it. I was talking to Coach Keith. He said before the game, he's like, I walked in, these guys are ready tonight. He was like, people have took a deep breath. They're ready to go. We'll see a good effort out of the guys tonight. And I think we saw that night.
It will. Ben Schroeder with the Locked On Wizards podcast. One of the things that has kind of been reported around AD in his time in Dallas was that he wants a new contract. He and his agent have been they're pretty adamant about that. Have you guys had any type of conversation with Anthony Davis' agent about a possible contract extension? What would that look like?
Yeah, no, we haven't had any conversations about that. That's something you can't even talk about until the summertime. But Rich Paul, myself, Mike 𝗙𝗢𝗟, we have a good relationship and good rapport. So when it becomes time to have those conversations, I'm sure we will. But the most important thing is getting him healthy and then getting on the floor so that he can play with his teammates and get to learn them.
Well, 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗡𝗧, Monumental Sportsnet. As you watch the improvement of all the young players, Will Riley, as of late, has jumped off the charts a little bit, and his acumen. Did you guys know about his acumen to score at such a young age? Just your thoughts on what you're seeing with the way he plays, because to me it's really rare to see a 19-year-old play the way he does.
Yeah, appreciate you asking about Will. I think at the beginning of the season we talked about having a lot of depth at the wing and not being able to see everybody at the beginning of the year, and people still working and developing and waiting for their opportunity and being ready. I think with Will Riley, he did a good job, and it's a good example of staying ready with the go-go, playing those meaningful games and getting those reps and building his confidence. And to ask, did I know it was going to happen this fast, or kind of know the type of player he could be with the IQ and the decision-making? Yes. But less about me, more about our environment and our group of scouts and our evaluators. They saw him at EYBL, like Dickie Simpkins, Steve Cook, they're out there, Amber, like they go all the time. So we're watching those players at a younger age, and we saw Will with the ball in his hands. Now he's grown to 6'10" and is building more confidence, and I think he'll have a huge jump this summer, physically, but also basketball-wise. So seeing him, seeing Jameer, Tristan, 𝗫𝗎📡, like those guys get their opportunities to compete with first-line guys, that's what this year's all about for us, like full roster development and trying to answer as many questions as we can on who's going to move forward with us after this year.
Ian Quill and AP, is there any more update or details on Trae Young's timeline to return?
Not right now, because Trae is going to be reassessed during All-Star break as well, and then coming out of there, hopefully we'll have an update for everyone. So he's on timeline. He's still working on the court. He started doing one-on-one. Starting to do a little bit more two-on-two type actions where you don't get light contact. He's playing with the coaches, so he's trending in a positive direction. But again, it's about getting healthy, getting fully all the way there. When you play hard one day, 1-on-0, making sure that your bodies can recover for the next night. So again, we want to make sure he's 100% healthy before we put him out there.
Will Chase Hughes, Monumental Sports Network. How do you expect offensive roles to change with the young guys now that you are incorporating Trae and Anthony Davis? Maybe guys are used to playing on the ball.
Yeah. Again, we want our guys to process information really fast and be able to make decisions with the ball. And that's what we've drafted. And I think you can see that's what we've traded for as well. And the way we want to build our team, everyone eats. And that's kind of the goal. And I don't see too much of a shift in just terms of how we want to play stylistically. And I think those guys will be able to be amplified by Anthony and Trae, but also help their games as well. So our guys are building confidence. I think I said it. We'll know when to kind of take that next step, like you asked. And if you watched Keyshawn, Bilal, Alex, even Trae, Bub, like those guys have given us enough answers to the test that we were ready to add. Positionally, what we felt were holes. And if you could tell me at the beginning of the year we're going to add a point guard and a power forward, and they were going to be Anthony Davis and Trae Young, I'd feel pretty good about filling those holes.
Well, Jared Spence from the lead, what is something you think that Anthony Davis can teach Alex Sarr defensively?
Oof. I'm not that caliber player. Wasn't even close. I think those guys will have a lot of connectivity on, like, just vocality. Like Alex seeing plays earlier, calling it out, knowing when to switch, knowing personnel on how to guard people, when to send them this way, things of that nature. But I think they'll learn how to play on a string. I've been telling Alex for a long time, like, go protect the rim. And he's obviously elite at that. And we'll find somebody to help clean up your man, to help you rebound as well. So, like, he's done a really good job of improving his defensive rim percentage, blocks, but also rebounding. And now you know you have another force that will allow you to go get it. I think he probably helps our wing defenders more so than Alex, because those guys can get to the ball now and really pressure and send them into the Alex AD combination at the rim. So I think it helps everybody defensively, but I expect that tandem to be a high level.
Hey, well, you also got a D'Angelo Russell trade. What was your thought process in trying to loop him in, and what do you anticipate for him in the short term with this team?
Yeah, appreciate you asking on that one. Obviously, in that trade, we brought back 4 players. We waived Dante Exum earlier today. He's going to rehab and get healthy on his own with Hardy. He just got in today, so you guys will at least see him out there on the bench. He's not going to play, but excited to have another young scoring athlete in the mix with our young guys. We'll see him play a little bit towards the end of the season. And with D'Angelo, we've talked to him, talked to his representatives. At the time, he's not going to report, and as we try to figure out what's best for him and us in our future.
When did the discussions with Dallas go from theoretical to likely possible?
It was quick. It was definitely quick. I don't remember the day or the time on it, but it moved pretty fast for a trade of that magnitude.
And how did it come together? I mean, this is a pretty big name. How did that come together?
Yeah, Mike Winger is, as you guys know, impressive when it comes to team management strategy, negotiating. We follow his lead and try to make sure that we're prepared for anything that can happen. I really like the staff that we've put together in our strategy group, our research group, our analytics group, like having everybody in the room. We met on these things 2-3 months ago. And what it would take, what it would look like. There's always 2 teams in a deal, so you got to figure out what's most important to them, what would kind of interest them, and what's your angle. And I think the most important stuff for us is we established what positions we wanted to go after. We built ourselves a lot of flexibility so we can do it in the summertime, or we can do it at the trade deadline. And when we tried to forecast the summer, this option was better. And when you meet at the beginning of the trade deadline process, you're like, these are the things we're willing to use to improve our team. And we didn't go about that. We retained all of our own stuff. We retained all of our young core nucleus of players. So what we're shopping with, let's go for the biggest names we can. And I just think we were fortunate to be able to do that because of the financial flexibility we afforded ourselves with the few moves we did before that.
Will, you mentioned this summer.
I have a question.
How does this move affect your guys' plan for free agency, the draft, and going forward in terms of player personnel, movement, and contracts?
Yeah, I don't know yet because I kind of want to see the team together. The one thing I will say is I was a benefit of being around experienced people when I was growing up in the NBA, and it's something we've always wanted to do with our players. I think year 1 you saw Tyus Jones and 𝗙𝗎𝗓 around our guys. Year 2 was Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Smart, and Jonas Valanciunas. Like, we always had those guys next to them. And this year, obviously, Chris and CJ crushed it just in terms of who they are as people and teaching them. So we've always had veteran players around our guys. Now we've just stepped up the level that they can be amplified by the players on the court as well. So adding Trae Young and Anthony Davis, we want to see those guys together with our young core, who's going to be the core that carries us moving forward, and see how they blend and they mix and build some chemistry towards the end of the year into the summer and then into obviously the beginning of next season. And we still have a little bit of flexibility to add to the team in the summer, and hopefully the lottery gods have our favor and we can add another high-level young talent in June as well. So that's kind of the plan for now. Thank you, guys.